For three! And you're going to go out of here as the Big Eight tournament champion.
93.7 The Ticket veteran and Bill Callahan fan club president, Jake Bakoven.
I love Billy's team.
Coming at you live from the Coppel Chevrolet GMC studios in the heart and online at theticketfm.com. Sponsored by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. This is On the Block with Strick and Bach.
Hold up.
We are back on the block for a Thursday edition of our show, and it's always a Thirsty Thursday, even though Kevin Meyer already stopped in to celebrate Nick's birthday a little bit earlier here on Happy Hour. So Happy Hour had the drinks today, but Strick, that doesn't mean you can't enjoy a beverage or two throughout the show if you want to. It's still Thirsty Thursday for us.
Yeah, and I will. Yeah. It's not going to change for me. Thirsty Thursday has now become a hallmark on the block, so I'm definitely going to tap in shortly.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. You want to make sure to pace yourself. We still have 2 hours of radio to do, so there is that to it as well. It's kind of fun day that we have planned out here. We'll talk a lot of Nebraska football, Nebraska basketball, just kind of stuff going on all over the place. But I did want to start with the basketball game, which will be tomorrow. Obviously, the season hasn't gone as planned for Nebraska fans or anybody in the building really. 7-20 overall, 1-15 in Big Ten play, taking on Iowa, who's doing well. They're in the top 25 now, 19-8 and 9-7 in league play. Of course, when Nebraska went to Iowa City, absolute disaster for Nebraska, losing 98-75. And again, as you can say with a lot of these previous games, now the score actually was probably worse than that. At a certain point in time, it definitely was worse than that, and it could have been a lot worse had Keegan Murray. I mean, I think Keegan Murray could have put up 50 on him. But in any case, we're turning the page now over to this game coming up tomorrow night. It will be on FS1 at 8:00. Close, we'll have the post game show for you there. But it's going to be kind of interesting because it's senior day, and I know that again, this is not the way that a lot of us envisioned senior day to be, and senior day is kind of weird altogether this year because you kind of have the rental players or the transfer in guys that have only been here for a few years, but still very incredible stuff. Like Kobe Webster, for example, he'll be walking. He decided to return for this year, and I know, talking to him the other day, he's working on his master's degree. So, and I think he's about to get it. So, absolute congratulations. Still incredible things happening. It's just not the 4-year guys that you can kind of remember growing up and watching them play, but that's modern day college basketball, I suppose. But the other additional thing going on is that the COVID year is still out there for several of these other guys. Are they going to come back to Nebraska? The Trey McGowans, the Derek Walkers, the Lat Mans. Then throw out that Bryce McGowans is going to be having to make a decision as well, as there was going to be several NBA scouts on hand to watch him and Keegan Murray. And then Fred Hoiberg, it might be his senior day at Nebraska as well. He reminisced a little bit about his own senior day at Iowa State, talking today about how he did not perform very well, so he went home and broke a lamp. So his senior day was not particularly memorable. But how about you, Strick? As you think back about senior day, you've kind of been through it as well. What was your senior day kind of like?
Well, I think today I posted a picture on my Instagram at eStrick 2020, and it was a reminder of what my senior year was like. It was a roller coaster ride, not only that of emotions, but I do remember, my mother and father came, my stepmother was there, and it was the last time I was going to touch the Devaney floor, and it was very emotional for me. I think I was touched in my heart and just was reminded of the first time I set foot on the floor. Not just then, but also in high school. Playing state tournaments there, and it was emotional knowing that I would not have another opportunity to do so. And so I can imagine probably what Kobe's feeling. I could also imagine for him how, he's hurt in his heart some because I know he wanted more. I know he wanted more for himself. I know he wanted more for the Huskers. And for me, being a hometown kid from Bellevue, it was it was a time where you looked back and you remembered the successes and all the times that you went in the trenches with your comrades and your brothers, and you battled and you fought, and then all of a sudden you had another shot at it in the postseason. But at the end of the day, those fans meant so much to me, to my family. They embraced me. They loved on us, whether we were successful or not. And that was the one thing I always appreciated about Nebraska and the fans and the people, is that regardless, if you came and you brought it, they were going to love you for it. And so I've always appreciated that. And I know it's going to be an emotional time for some of those seniors as they touch that floor for the last time. And there's going to be decisions to be made. I would hope that some of those juniors would be able to have that opportunity to do so. But I also hope that they could change their story. Their story hasn't been a very good one from the time that they came. Whether you've been there for 2 years or whether you've been there for 5, it's still the same story. It's an emotional one. And because you don't know what's next for you. At the end of the day, it could end. You could have injury. You may get overseas. You may not. You may not play professionally. So that might be the last time. That's why I tell players all the time, man, don't leave nothing on that floor, because it goes quick. You don't know when it's going to be your last time, and that senior year crops up on you real quickly, and then all of a sudden, it's over. And so don't leave nothing behind, bro. Just that's the message I try to have with them when I get an opportunity to talk to players.
Do you think that, if you remember, was it very emotional kind of throughout the game, or is it something kind of once the ball's tipped, you kind of get back into it after maybe a possession or two?
Well, yeah, I mean, I actually cried. I did. I'm not a very teary dude, but I actually did. I cried because that's how hard it hit. It hit that hard. I hope that they can pull it out. There's all the past and all the things that have happened throughout this year would venture to say that may not be the case, but I would hope that they would do so and take Kobe and those guys out with a bang, at least in that manner. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's what I'm kind of hoping for, is that, after watching that Iowa game in Iowa City, they run a similar style, but they have shooters. I mean, they're just, this is not year 3. This is not guys in and out of the program. This is Iowa under Fran McCaffrey for 11 years now, running his system and bringing guys in and all that. So it's up and running. It's not a work in progress. Yeah. So when they go up against Nebraska, I kind of felt like, just watching it this last time out, and obviously you would feel this way, is that it looked like a mismatch. And Keegan Murray, like I said, at the top of that. I mean, I don't know. They tried several different guys to guard him, and there was just not an answer that night.
And also Trey wasn't around, so that's another thing. I mean, I think I'm not going to say Trey is that Gary Payton type of guy, but I would say he's probably as good as any physically that can match Keegan's physicality. And I mean, he can get anywhere he wants to. He can, he's got great sound mind as far as knowing what he wants to do, where he likes to get to, the spots that he's comfortable in. And that's what the scouts are coming for. The scouts are coming there to look both at Bryce and him. But at the end of the day, you're looking at their body of work. You're looking at just not one game. You're looking at the totality of their work, and so they know that Keegan Murray is that dude, and so that's what they're coming to just validate. And it's cool. It's a good thing for the Husker faithful to get an opportunity to see those type of players play at a high level when they arrive. So that's something special as well.
Yeah, and it is cool. I mean, I know that sometimes you get kind of frustrated with the basketball season, but you do have a chance to go see two guys that are probably going to be playing in the league against each other play, this Friday. So that's kind of cool in its own right. But I do hope that they can kind of, like I said, it appears to be a bit of a mismatch. I think Keegan Murray's the best guy on the floor, all that stuff. If Jordan Bohannon, who wasn't even hitting last time all that much against Nebraska, I mean, if he gets going, he can hit 8 or 9 of them in a game, and you can get out of it really quickly. So it could get ugly, but at the same time, like you're saying, hopefully there's some sort of, a senior day special moment energy that comes together and they can beat Iowa. And at this point, I don't know how much that's going to change the narrative on the season or like overall really anything. But, it'd be by far the biggest win under Hoiberg. It'd be a top 25 victory. I just don't know if that's enough to change your mind if you kind of already have arrived to that conclusion at this point or whatever it is. And we won't know that for a little bit. But it would at least, I mean, this team and this fan base is in desperate need of a feel-good moment. So beating your rival, a top 25 team like that, again, for them, it's just, would be one of their 8 Big Ten losses. They move on. They still have a chance in the Big Ten tournament. It's not ruining their season or anything like that, but at least it'd be that sparkle of, again, I don't even want to say hope, because at this point, I think the story for the Nebraska season has just about all but been written, unless you go on a magic Big Ten tournament run or something like that. But it would at least just at least put some smiles on our faces for one last time. And it'd just be a special moment at Pinnacle Bank Arena on senior night. I've been to several of them. I love them. I mean, it really is kind of sending those guys off the right way. Often if they're from a different country, you bring out their flag, sing their national anthem, and or at least usually there's some sort of pre-game ceremony where they get their jersey and all that stuff. So I know it hasn't worked out the way that people wanted it to, but I'm feeling that there's more likely going to be an appreciation type of night rather than what it could turn into, which is, people getting so tired of this program that they want to leave and not show the game and kind of strike because they want to show that this isn't what Nebraska basketball wants. But again, I think that time's passed. I think you should have, if that was the plan for the fan base at some point, it should have been done before senior day.
Well, then some of the keys for that game, though, is going to be very important. As we know, a lot of their problems have been coming out of the half. So you're going to be able to see, one, how they start the game. You're going to see what their energy looks like, how locked in they are on their assignments in the scouting reports and in the plays that I was going to be running. Obviously, they run a free flow style as well, getting to and recovering. Not just one recovery. I'm talking about that multiple recoveries of how they're going to scrap and rebound and get to those loose ball types of situations. And again, like I said, coming out of the half, they've got to figure out how to garner up some energy or some fire or something, a spark, a flame, or anything to come out of the half. I don't know. Post something negative. I don't know on the board. That maybe Iowa said about you, and that way they come out with a fire. And again, it's gonna be reminiscent on what they do as far as they moving the ball against an Iowa team. They're very disciplined, so you're not going to just be able to get downhill. You're going to have to be able to move the ball. It's going to be what I talked about before with you and DP. It's going to be multiple passes, multiple penetrations with a pass and another pass. Those type of things is going to get those open looks, and if they don't do that, then obviously we know what's going to be the issue.
I don't think that there's necessarily a right answer for this question, or at least not it's not a question that necessarily sets up for Nebraska well either way. But do you think that Nebraska is better in this sort of matchup against a team that wants to run a similar system as they do, kind of fast pace up and down the floor, as opposed to trying that out against kind of the traditional big men, Big Ten play that we've seen so often throughout this year?
Well, it's definitely going to create more possession, so therefore turnovers are going to be important. You turnovers and points off of turnovers and fast break points. Those opportunities are going to be there and available in these types of games, and that's why it's important to long rebound, because they're going to shoot the three. So you have to really you can't do that look and just start running towards the basket against this team, because then they'll kill you. A second opportunity with this team and their abilities to shoot the ball, they'll kill you. So that's what's going to be important as well.
And how about the increased pressure of playing in front of a bunch of scouts? It's been announced that, like, again, with Keegan Murray and and of course Bryce McGowan's there. It's an interesting matchup. Keegan Murray probably a lottery pick. Bryce has probably fringed first rounder, maybe in the second round. And trust me, scouts are interested in second rounders too, so they're going to be out there. But they want to see, how these guys kind of match up against each other. When you played in the past, do you remember? And for you or teammates, was there a different feel or a different get up for different guys? Some guys can really get up for that moment. Maybe some other guys would shrink a little bit in that. But does that change at all the game once it's tipped off?
I wouldn't say for me. I was a Showtime type of guy, So when the lights turned on, that's when it was. It didn't matter what was going down. Of course, you like it when the crowd is there and it's packed and it's rowdy and it's raucous in there. You get excited about that. But at the end of the day, I took an onus on the challenge. Like, my guy ain't beating me. If I'm going to help my other guys, I'm going to make sure they're covered and protected. But when the lights came on, it was time to shine, baby. That's the way I felt. So I don't think it was any particular individual per se, but I wanted that challenge of whoever the best person was. And that's what I would hope for Bryce. I would hope for Bryce to be able to, if it was me, I'd be like, shoot, I want Keegan. Coach. That's who I want tonight. And I would take that challenge. I think when you have scouts like that in the building, there's a tendency for you to press or to try to do too much. You've just got to let it come to you and do those things that you do well. He gets to the free throw line. Well, do that. He's don't start shooting 30 footers and you haven't hit one yet. Get into a rhythm, get downhill, get to the free throw line, see a couple go in, maybe early, take the ones that present themselves to you, but don't go hunting. If you go hunting for it, it usually doesn't work out for you. If it comes to you, where certain aspects of their defense may be weak, you attack that. But at the end of the day, don't go hunting for it, because that usually doesn't bode well, because that tension, that pressure in your shots, it doesn't bode well for you usually.
And I wanted to jump into this too, as we transition from that topic into kind of something pretty interesting. A lot of people, I think most people, respect Troy Aikman in the booth, and certainly the people over at ESPN seem to be respecting him, as he's been a long time broadcast partner over there with Fox and Joe Buck and those guys. But now it looks like ESPN's going to be going after him for Monday Night Football. And Monday Night Football, I think, is best when you have that big time personality in the booth. Mm-hmm. I don't think they've necessarily had that over the last couple of years. I mean, their booth is fine right now. For what it's worth, I kind of like Louis Riddick and stuff there, but it's not a big enough personality. I think Troy Aikman would fill that void. So when I think of Monday Night Football, and obviously people younger than me will think back further, but I think of John Madden, I think of John Gruden, and those three, and then I think of the in between times when you try out comedians and just guys that ultimately didn't work out. Booger McFarland for a year, different names, stuff like that. But I think that there's something a little bit missing if you don't have that big personality in the booth, and Troy Aikman certainly would bring that to the table. He's talking on a mega deal there with it would be a pretty big deal for ESPN, as they'll amp up their coverage. Actually, they're going to have a lot more games with their new package coming in. So what do you think about Troy Aikman as a commentator? Do you think that he would be up there? I mean, other people would think of Tony Romo, but he's got his big deal with CBS. But Aikman, I always thought with Fox, sometimes it just feels like he's got the voice of football, and I feel like he's definitely one of those guys.
And that's the point I would have made. Like, Tony Romo is very exuberant. He gets into it. The thing I like about Romo is he really starts to break down like coverage packages, and in that cover 3, this is what you would be looking for, and this is the receiver. Yet he dropped down right there in that spot. You start seeing it from a different perspective, and that's the energy Tony Romo brings. But Aikman brings just a deep, in-depth knowledge and a real stoic personality that's just calming, and it's soothing, and it just makes you feel good about kind of listening in to what he has to say. And so those are some of the things that Aikman's going to bring to the table when it comes to shining on Monday night. I like the move. I think it's good for them to step that up and put him there in that position. It's a big deal for him, and congratulations to Troy. It was fun being in Dallas when those guys were there. When you had Aikman and Emmitt Smith and Dion and those guys, and I got to know some of them pretty well and hung out a little bit with Kelvin Martin and Kevin Smith. We were really close friends. And the thing I loved about Pup is I used to tease Pup all the time. I'm like, dang, Pup, man, all that smoke you keep getting over there, because it was like they left Dion alone. They would leave Dion alone, and let him do his thing over there on that side, on the wide side, and then Pup got all the smoke. So I used to tease him about that. You had to be in great shape, all that smoke you were getting on that side.
Yeah, that is one thing about it. And I don't usually think about it from their side. I usually think about it from the offensive side, like who you can attack and stay away from. But I don't think about how frustrating maybe it could be at times to play with one of the top corners in the league. If you're on the opposite end, you're still an NFL starter. You're still great. And obviously for them, they were making Super Bowl runs, but you would probably get picked on quite often.
Quite often. So, yeah, I mean, that's I think football is they did themselves a good service this last year. I think all around from top to bottom. I think I loved when I saw the teams that were even down. They weren't really doing well. You could see fight in them. I think so that made every game every week was very important. It seemed like every team really wanted to win and be successful, and I thought they fought their tails off, and ultimately it ended up with a great playoff. Also, the runs up to the playoffs. I mean, you came down to the last week, and I mean, it was just so many storylines and so many things that were out there that could happen, scenarios, all these multiple scenarios that if this team wins, that team has to lose, that team tied, and you had all these different things. So it was hard to break down what it was going to come to, but it ultimately came down to a wonderful ending.
Yeah, it was a fun time. The NFL is always dominating in TV ratings for that reason. And then, you always listen to the guys in the booth and have your favorite ones there. It's kind of interesting because times are changing. We mentioned Tony Romo. We mentioned Troy Aikman. Al Michaels actually has his contract with NBC has run up. He's now 77 years old, so you kind of wonder how much longer he's going to be doing it. But there is a thought out there for him to be the lead play-by-play voice with Amazon Prime Video, who will actually have exclusive rights to Thursday Night Football. So it's a bit of a changing landscape. Now Amazon is going to be maybe a run after Al Michaels, and maybe even reports are that they want to run after Sean McVay as well. Yes, that Sean McVay, the Rams coach that just won the Super Bowl, the Amazon might try to buy him, pay him so much more than he would as a head coach to bring him
without the headaches too. You don't have the headaches and all that. Because think about it though. Think about the pressure, Bach, that coaches are under, right? I mean, just as well as it's good and it bodes well for you. You see teams like that have long tenured coaches like Mike Tomlin and guys like that. But at the end of the day, man, that's a lot of pressure. And I think about Ty Lue sometimes. I'm like, man, it's like every few years, if your team isn't getting it done, or if you don't have the best players on the team in your corner, I mean, it can shift, because it really turned from a coach's league to a player's type of league, and they're the ones that dang near make decisions now. And so if you don't have the backing of the top guys, man, that you can be out of there quick. And so just that type of pressure. I mean, shoot, I just think about how much easier it would be just to be in the booth and talk about the game from the perspective of your mind, as opposed to having to prepare for the game and then the pressures that come with all of that week in and week out. Shoot, if you got that big deal, something to think about. That's why I ain't mad at Lincoln Riley. Yeah, people say, hey, listen, Lincoln Riley, that's a great move for you, baby. Go down there to USC, and then you don't have to deal with that SEC pressure. Hey, shoot, get on up out of here.
Also, I no offense to Norman, Oklahoma, but I think LA is probably a bit of a nice, more
That
lavish
part.
lifestyle there as well. Sunny all the time. Might not be so bad if you can afford it. That's the problem with moving to LA. A lot of people have trouble affording it, but they got a nice contract for them going out up there. And that's the amazing thing with these deals now with the broadcasters too, is the money's so crazy that it could be more lucrative to, like we were saying with Sean McVay, maybe leave coaching. He's so young. You kind of think of the broadcast booth would be stealing one of the prize coaches that's up and coming, even though he's won a Super Bowl. He's only in his late 30s. He's got so many more years to do it if he wants to, or maybe make that run in the booth. So
think about how many years he would have to do it if he sat in the booth.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of good broadcasting here. We should cheer for the broadcaster. We got to take a quick break. When we come back, Nebraska football is looking for D-line help from a pair of twins. Yeah, that's right, a pair of twins in the transfer portal. So it made me kind of think, who are the royal families of Husker sports? We'll break down some of those families coming up next here on The Block on 93.7 The Ticket.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
Breakfast tacos, brisket tacos, pork tacos, chicken tacos. You hungry yet? I can keep going. Pork or chicken, queso nachos, queso mac and cheese, hatch mac burritos. Now you're salivating. Muchachos is Lincoln's premier New Mexico barbecue fusion restaurant. You can't miss them in their bright blue building. Pair that great food with delicious coffee for breakfast and a variety of local and national beers on tap the rest of the day. Order your food online at yomuchacho.com or visit them in person at Muchachos on South 11th Street between L and K Streets.
Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now they've raised wages again and they're hiring for production operators at $22.07 per hour and other select jobs starting at $23.77 per hour, with wages growing up to $29.71 per hour. Continental also has salaried jobs available and great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates. To learn more or to apply, go to continental-jobs.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
Need to send a message? Send it with cake. Congratulations? Here's a congratulations chocolate rum cake from Beatrice Bakery. Thank you? Say thank you with an amaretto cake. I'm sorry that I accidentally hit your mailbox with my car as I was backing out of the driveway and then continued right into your prized petunias. You say that with a lemon drop cake. Everybody knows that. Beatrice Bakery in downtown Beatrice or online at beatricebakery.com. Here to help you say whatever it is you need to say. Welcome to our world of yum.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by Security First Bank, a relationship you can count on.
Your first alert weather forecast tonight, clearing and cold. Overnight lows 0. Sunshine warming up a bit on Friday and highs right around 30. I'm MTV Chief Forecaster Ken Bowden for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
There's not many things worse than having plumbing issues at your home or business, but it's even worse if the problem isn't fixed correctly. Select Plumbing gets it right the first time, and they specialize in several things: general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate at 402-560-6197. Plus, they're hiring service plumbers. Contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197.
This is your High School Minute.
With your Southeast Community College High School Minute, I'm Harrison Arns. In girls sub-district basketball, Norris blew Nebraska City out of the gym with a final score of 74-12. Sage Burback from Norris finished with 17 points as the game's leading scorer. Waverly also got a win. They beat Plattsmouth 51-17. In girls state swimming, the Omaha Marion girls took home the Class A title by the slimmest possible margin over Lincoln Southeast, a half point to be exact. This is the Omaha Marion girls' 13th state championship. In state wrestling, Lincoln East had 5 wrestlers make it to the championship matches. They finished with Gabe Turman and Keith Smith winning individual championships. Brandon Mouser, Weston Sherlock, and Cole Toline would finish with runner-ups. In the Class B division, Waverly senior Trevor Brown won his 2nd straight heavyweight title. This has been your High School Minute, sponsored by Southeast Community College, with locations in Lincoln, Beatrice, and Milford. Learn more today at southeast.edu.
Early break with Sip and Jake.
Pleased and honored to be joined by Nebraska volleyball coach John Cook.
If Trev wasn't interested, I would have done it in a heartbeat because I just felt like Nebraska athletics, we were at the edge of the cliff. You know, we had to do something, get somebody in here to build this athletic department back up. I thank my lucky stars every day that Trev's our guy now.
Early break with Sip and Jake from 6 to 8 every weekday morning on 93.7 The Ticket. Back to On the Block with Strick and Bach on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We are back here on the block on 93.7 The Ticket, and we're ready to talk about the royal families for Nebraska. What that means, I'm not exactly sure, but really just the family ties that are at Nebraska, because I don't want to bury the lead here. Nebraska is after 2 defensive linemen in the portal by the name of Grayson Murphy and Gabriel Murphy, and they are identical twins, and they are a package deal. They want to play together, so they're going to be committing to one school. They played actually Division I football last year. They have 3 years left of eligibility. They played for North Texas last year. Grayson had 8.5 sacks and 14.5 tackles for loss. Gabriel, 7 sacks and 12 tackles for loss. So I think a lot of people would just love for Nebraska to get one of them, but they're a package deal. A lot of people would also just like Nebraska to get any help on the defensive line, as that's been a position that's been hurt a little bit by some of the decisions made for some of these guys to move on and play pro ball or move on with their lives. In any case, it's a big deal for whoever gets them, and Nebraska's not alone. Nebraska didn't find these guys a needle in a haystack here. UCLA, Penn State, USC, West Virginia, among some of the teams to go after them. So there's no lock. It would just be a huge deal if Nebraska does get them. I think that I read that 24/7 Sports has both of them ranked as the top 10 pass rushers in the transfer portal for this offseason, and that makes sense with their numbers because it's been a while. Nebraska doesn't have too many guys. I know playing at North Texas and in the Big Ten is a little bit different, but 7 sacks, 8.5 sacks, that's a lot. So before we get into the royal family discussion, Strick, how big of a deal do you see this for the Nebraska football team? I still see it as like defensive line help. I like what they have up front as far as starters, but behind that, they're pretty unproven. Either that or some help on the offensive line would be the biggest issue I see left with them. And they did grab some guys from the offensive line. I just think that was such a problem. Maybe they should grab a little bit more. But either way, this would be a huge get. Maybe right up there if we re-ranked our biggest transfer portal additions. I think these guys would probably be top 5.
Yeah, I think they have the potential to do that. I think with the loss of JoJo Dolman and what he was able to do in that 3-4 that Shenander likes to run, they're those type of guys. I watched a little bit of film on them, and I got to see that they're very technically inclined. Their abilities in the 3-4 to not only cover as well as rush when needed. You could throw them in blitz packages. I think I'm not going to say they are like a Micah Parsons, but they have that versatility like a Micah Parsons, where you can throw him all over the place and put them in different schemes. Terrell Farley-ish, so to speak. I think that's what they would bring to the table. Anytime you've got somebody that can draw sack numbers, I mean, we haven't had somebody to do it like that since, Gregory was here. We need somebody to be able to put pressure on that on that end. And I think them playing that position in the 3-4, that's usually what they've been in the film that I watched them. I could tell they were definitely in the 3-4. They can cover. They got good speed, good length, and their abilities to get hands off of them from tackles. So I think that would be a great get to be able to, because I don't think right now what we have with Caleb and who's the other one? Caleb Tanner and the other rush in that we have.
Oh, Garrett
right
Nelson.
Yeah, Nelson. Garrett Nelson. Yeah. I don't think right now those two, that's not their skill set. I don't see them unless they just totally revamp themselves this year. I don't see it from them, but those guys, that's what they do. So I like the fact that they can get behind the line and create havoc as well as create tackles for loss. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So we'll see if Nebraska can get those guys. I don't think they have necessarily a timeline. It was just kind of a deal the other day because Nebraska offered them and they announced that. So that was kind of cool to see there. It got me thinking of kind of who are the royal families of Husker sports. The guys that Nebraska continues to get. It's kind of a family tradition. Unfortunately, sometimes you miss out on those guys because certainly the Burrows you could probably put up there because there's been several Burrows through the program, and then you miss on the best one. But in any case, as I run through this list, and let us know here on the Honda of Lincoln hotline, Starter Heyman text line 402-464-5685. If we miss any of them. We kind of brought it up the other day when we talked about it. The first one a lot of people think of is the Peter brothers because they were dominant among that defensive line in the 90s and helping winning titles. So certainly those guys come up. Other guys that just over the last several years have been there. Damian and Darian Daniels. I mean, we're talking about on that defensive line. Damian Daniels might be a guy that you have to replace there. And then the Davis twins are now in the NFL, and I believe we're playing together in Pittsburgh last year. Carlos and Khalil Davis. Those kind of the most recent set of brothers, or even twins there that come to mind for me for Nebraska royalty.
Yeah, I don't know the history as far as brothers that have come through like that. That's a rarity. But when you can land that's sweet. Obviously, you've got brothers on the basketball side. It'd be nice to tag another few on the football side. I think also that I like the Steinkuhler. It was kind of fun to see the Steinkuhler situation in that, obviously he played offensive lineman and then to have his, the younger Steinkuhler to come through and switch to the other side. And so I thought that was a pretty cool little deal.
I gets overlooked too. The older brother, he was actually pretty good there for a few years too. He just wasn't as ballyhooed as a recruit, but he was pretty solid.
Yeah, they were solid. Shoot, who else? Definitely the Peter brothers is the one because that was during my era, my time.
Yeah. I guess the Macavickas were kind of around your time.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yes, the Macavicka brothers.
Joel,
and look, there was success from that fullback position when they ran that trap. Them Macavicka brothers hit that hole and they break a few. They broke a couple of hearts in some national championships with the way that they handled the ball. So yeah, damn, that's right. That's one of the top ones for me. Definitely the Macavicka brothers. Yeah. And they're doing well outside of football too. I mean, both of them are doing pretty well. They're pretty successful there in Nebraska still, and so definitely.
I don't know if I see like close to my house. There's a Macavicka store. I think it might be related to him. I'm not really sure. I'm sure somebody is at least at that point. But
and then you have the Vedral brothers. Yeah, there's three of them, and that number 25 popped up and he actually led. He was at the top he was right behind Cluster Johnson, I think. He was right behind Cluster Johnson in receiving yards that year. It wasn't it wasn't in the thousands like getting up there with the Morgans and all that, but it was successful when it happened. It was successful. And then a good friend of mine, Doak Ostergaard, let me know to make sure that I talk also about the Kelsey brothers. Now that's a successful dynasty family.
Yes, Chris Kelsey, Chad Kelsey, those guys were absolute terrors off the end.
Yeah, they were terrors on that defensive end. You want some of them guys again. That's the type of guys you want coming up there. Yes, sir.
Those guys were awesome. Some response off the text line. Derek says, how about the Doganduro brothers? One football and one basketball. Yeah, Ade Doganduro, especially on the basketball side, as I remember, hit a game winner against Creighton. He was one of the best players on that team for a couple of years there. I believe that was under Sadler. And then Ola Dagunduro was a pretty good defensive tackle here at Nebraska too. So yeah, that's a good point. Rico says the Cottons. How could we forget the Cottons? I'm sometimes you just have to be really impressed. I know they didn't turn out to be maybe All-Americans here, but how cool of a story that Barney Cotton was, the father and played here and then ended up coaching here and was able to coach, I believe, all of his sons here as well. And when I say all of his sons, I mean 3 of them. To have all 3 sons get to the level where you can coach them at your alma mater, it's just a very cool story. So it's Ben, Jake, and now I'm forgetting one. Ben Cotton, Jake Cotton, and I had it earlier. Now I've lost it. But all of them played there. I think at a time too, people, they kind of just took over that tight end room for a while. So that was kind of cool.
One of my good buddies, his name was Broderick Thomas. They called him the Sandman.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, Broderick had a brother also that popped his head out. And so
did he? I didn't know that.
Yeah. So that was another one. I would love to have another Broderick Thomas type. Man, can we just get like another Neil Smith type and another Grant Wistrom type? Can we find any more of them Dante Joneses? Where are they at these days? My goodness. Let's just show up for us one time.
The Wistroms are actually a pretty good example. You mentioned Grant, but Tracy was a tight end. He was a pretty darn good tight end.
He was a good tight end. He was a good tight end.
He even got drafted.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. He was solid.
Gingerbeard says the Bullocks brothers, Daniel and Josh Bullocks. Those are probably the best safeties since Mike Brown that I can think of. I have to go back and really break it down. But
and Mike Mentor too. Mike Mentor and Tony Veland. Those were some pretty good safeties we had back there.
Oh yeah. I'm just kind of thinking back, since the 2000s.
The Bullet. Listen, they were hitters.
Oh yeah,
they would come up and lay some hack on you a little bit, and they had good ball hawk skills too. So they go get it. I like.
Daniel Jones, or Daniel Bullocks, I believe, is the safeties coach for the 49ers or secondary coach for the 49ers now. Was it 49ers? Somebody, that's competing there. So he's been doing that for a few years too. So that's pretty cool. Aaron Davis says, "What's up, Strick? The Bullocks brothers, Lee Jones and Keith Jones, and great show, fellas." So always good for Aaron Davis to give us a shout out there.
Keith Jones, running back extraordinaire.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah. Again, some of these, I'm a little bit young. I obviously always have these different things that we can draw back on. Sometimes I'm learning about brothers of guys that I didn't know had brothers that played here. So it's kind of cool.
That's the thing. I mean, sometimes they'll creep in and you don't catch it until like, oh wait, there's a correlation there. And then, next thing you know, they don't, either pan out or whatever the case may be, but there are definitely some that panned out very well. That graced that Memorial Stadium field, no question.
And my apologies to Sam Cotton. I know I mentioned his brothers there, but thanks to the text line for pointing out. Jake, Ben, and Sam Cotton were all the Cotton brothers that played here for a little bit of time. I'm trying to think. Will Shields and his son Siobhan, again, another football dynamic, but that was very cool. So that's a pretty good one. The Grigsby's have been mentioned. Markowski's, it's a recent example now of
daughter. Yeah.
Making over into getting a female in there. How about Amon Green's family? I always thought that was pretty cool. I don't know how they're all related exactly, but I think between Amon Green and Tierra Green, who was a safety and a running back for a bit for Nebraska, and then Niles Paul, they're all part of the same.
That's right. So, see, that talking about Niles, like people always talk about, Strick, you could have definitely played football, but if I would have been, I was way ahead of my time. If I would have been playing football on the offensive side, I probably would have been like Niles Paul.
Yeah.
That hybrid type of guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? About 220, 230. Ran great routes, had great hands, can definitely create some space in there. We had a tight end. Somebody on the text line at 402, Sutter Heyman text line at 402-464-5685. Right in the late 80s, early 90s, we had a tight end. I can't remember his name, but he was phenomenal. I mean, he would go like deep and beat safeties and cornerbacks. A brother, I cannot remember his name. Somebody
Late
help me.
80s,
Huh?
in the late 80s, is that what you said?
It would have been the late 80s, early 90s. It would have been like right before I got to Nebraska. He was a tight end. Nobody?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Is it I'm looking around. Is it Johnny Mitchell?
Yes!
Yeah, Johnny Mitchell.
yes. Johnny Mitchell. He was a beast. I thought he would have just had that Antonio Gates, that type of career, the way he was as a tight end. He was
drafted
beast.
pretty high.
He was a beast, man. I remembered him, and I used to love the way he played the game. Yeah, Johnny Mitchell.
And I remember Niles Paul too, when he played with the Redskins, he'd always have like 1 or 2 games a year because he was always behind Jordan Reed and Vernon Davis.
Yeah.
You know, and those guys are just great tight ends, and they'd put up big numbers. And then there'd be like 1 game a year where they're hurt, and he'd go out there and get like 150.
Yeah.
And be like, gosh, Niles, you need to get out of Washington, man.
Yeah, I remember that. He had a good long career, though. He had a good
Yeah,
run.
he did have a long career, just all in the same place, and they always had a stacked tight end room. But they used him, for special teams and kick returns too. There are not many tight ends returning kicks, but Niles Paul was one of them, so that was kind of cool. When we got, I like Rico's comment too here. How about Ndamukong Suh playing with all his sons in the Big 12 there? He's just making fun of the quarterbacks there. I don't know if that counts.
I don't care what anybody says. He was one of he was Aaron Donald in his early years in the NFL too, but he was Aaron Donald in college. I mean, he would literally disrupt the whole team's game plan just by what he did.
I remember by the end of his junior year, he was doing that. And then when he announced he's coming back for his senior year, just going, oh my goodness. And that's why he got like legitimate Heisman hype and hope even going into the season. And then he played well enough to really actually be in New York and have an opportunity there at it. So that was very cool. I was just kind of going some of the other royal families across sports. I guess we're almost up against it, but I did kind of think of some other names, like the Mannings. Obviously, another Manning is up and coming. Arch Manning is the top quarterback prospect coming up. Remember that Duke had the Plumleys? It seemed like there was another Plumlee coming in and out.
It was like nonstop. It was like a cycle of Plumleys. Like, dang,
they're like 6'10". Yeah, I don't know where those guys came from. The Morris twins, obviously a famous one that you kind of think of for Kansas. The Watts over there at Wisconsin on the football side.
Yes, sir.
TJ Watt's backing up JJ pretty good. Derek Watt was a fullback there for a bit. The Carrs at Fresno State. It's kind of Derek Carr and David Carr. Kind of think of those guys. I think of Champ Bailey and his brother Boss Bailey at Georgia. That's going back some time. Some of these guys didn't live up to their brothers, like the Holt, Torrey Holt and Terrence Holt. Boss Bailey and Terrence Holt might not be their brothers, but they were pretty good actually. The Locketts over there at Kansas State had quite a run. The Vicks, Michael and Marcus at Virginia Tech.
Virginia Tech, yeah.
And of course the Gronks. Who could forget the Gronks?
They got a whole treasure trove of family. Shoot, they got 5 or 6 of them.
There's a lot of Gronkowskis. They just go to the same school ever, so it's hard to follow them along. The Bosa's, that's another good one off the text line. Yeah. Maybe we'll continue that if you want to send in those type of names, those type of royal families across sports, and certainly at Nebraska if we missed any, we'll continue with that. But it is time for Shootout with Strick right around the corner. Call us right now, 402-464-5685. The first caller that calls will get in line. Your chance to win $15 to Buffalo Wings and Rings. Again, first caller gets the opportunity to get the win. 402-464-5685. Shootout with Strick is next.
Shopping for insurance can be a tedious and frustrating task, but the agents at Brokers Insurance Agency will do the work for you. They have partnered with over 20 of the best insurance carriers in the nation, which allows them to do the shopping all for you. Whether you're looking for business insurance or employee benefits for your company, or you're looking to save money on your home and auto insurance, Brokers Insurance Agency has the agents and solutions to help meet your goals. Call 402-420-5353 or email staff@brokersinsurancenE.com.
You can search online for hours to find the best electricians in Lincoln and the surrounding area, but I'll save you time. High Electric has been serving their customers for 30 years for both residential and commercial properties. They're experts in everything electrical, from remodeling to new additions, hot tub installations, electric vehicle chargers or EV chargers, lighting, ceiling fans, and more. High Electric takes jobs from Beatrice to Omaha and all towns, big or small, in between. Call them today at 402-466-6606 or learn more at highelectric.com.
Rosie Sports Bar and Grill has 2 Lincoln locations that are great for any occasion. If you're downtown for a basketball game or a concert, stop by their newest spot at 10th and P. Don't forget to check out their social media pages to learn about any concerts on stage at Rosie's. If you want to avoid a busy downtown scene, head over to the original Rosie's just south of 14th and Highway 2 for a feeling of your local hometown bar. There's plenty of TVs at both places and great food and drink. What are you waiting for? Rosie Sports Bar and Grill at 10th and P and on South 14th Street.
Gray Diesel and Equipment Services is your go-to place in Lincoln for repairs and maintenance for diesel pickups to Class 8 over-the-road trucks and trailers, from bumper pole utility to full-size semi. Gray performs DOT inspections and are a service provider for fleet companies like ARI, Element Fleet, and FleetNet. They're a family-owned business in operation since 1952, and they keep a clean, friendly shop. Customer service is their top priority. Give Gray Diesel and Equipment Services a visit today, with easy access just off I-80 and North 56th Street.
You want to feel important. You want to be a part of something bigger, something that matters and can help change things. You want to feel like you belong. We know. We felt that way too. And that's why we did something about it. We aren't just Army National Guard soldiers. We are normal people just like you. And together, we can make a difference. Take on your legacy. Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more.
Sponsored by the Nebraska Army National Guard. Aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association at this station.
You hear that? That's the sound of extremely tender and delicious beef from certified Piedmontese. Prime grade tenderness with a fraction of the fat and calories of normal beef. It's Nebraska-raised product and the official beef of Nebraska Athletics. Change the way you buy beef today at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese, just north of 84th and Havelock, or at cpmercado.com. 93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by Security First Bank, a relationship you can count on.
Your first alert weather forecast tonight: clearing and cold. Overnight lows 0. Sunshine warming up a bit on Friday, and highs right around 30. I'm MTV Chief Forecaster Ken Boughton for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Happy Hour with Nick Sainert and Enrique Alvarez Clary.
You just kind of feel a little more settled with a guy like Trev Alberts leading the way. I think that's a big part of it.
Trev Alberts is like a mix of the two. He knows the business side of it. He knows what needs to get done, how to make money, how to spend money, etc. You know, whatever you got to do there as an athletic director. Then on the personal level, he wants to get to know the coaches.
I think a good description for Trev is that he understands how important relationships are.
Weekdays from 2 to 3 on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Tune in to the Teammates Mentoring Hour each Wednesday from 6 to 7 p.m. on 93.7 The Ticket. Hear stories from the program started by Tom and Nancy Osborne and how it's changed mentors and mentees' lives and how you can be involved. The Teammates Mentoring Hour, Wednesday nights from 6 to 7 o'clock on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
It's time to play Shootout with Strick. Call now, 464-5685, to take your shot against Eric Strickland. Shootout with Strick. Brought to you by Buffalo Wings and Rings.
Time to play the game!
It is time for Shootout with Strick. Your chance to win $15 to Buffalo Wings and Rings. All you have to do is beat a former NBA player in a three-point shootout type of competition. But don't worry, we won't have you shooting up shots. You just have to answer our questions. Today is about the NBA's 75th anniversary team, the ESPN rankings, for what it's worth. And that is what we will be quizzing you guys on today. Just wrapping up some discussion, though, quickly about the royal families that we're talking about, brothers and maybe sons and daughters and stuff like that have played for the Huskers or on different teams. We kind of broke it out to other not just Nebraska, but everybody else. Somebody says Adrian and Taylor Martinez. Well, no, Adrian and Taylor Martinez were not related, but Taylor did have a brother that showed up here, Blake Martinez, I believe, for a few years, but he didn't last long. He ended up transferring to Michigan State. The Edmonds brothers, Jaron says, Tiki and Rhonda Barber, those were some good ones off the text line. Venus and Serena Williams, of course. Derek says Breon Carnes was the nephew of Tommy Frazier, so that's a good one.
The Sharpers.
Yeah, the Sharpers. Yeah, those were pretty good.
The Sharpers and the Sharps.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were saying actually at first.
Sharpers. They were.
I remember Darren Sharper.
There was a Darren. Darren, I think, was a safety, and I think the other Sharper was maybe a tight end or something.
Okay. McCaffrey's is a good point. And then Jaron taught me this. I didn't know this. Chandler Jones and John Jones are actually brothers. I didn't know that. So that's kind of cool. John Jones, obviously from the UFC. Chandler Jones, one of the best pass rushing edges in the NFL. But we got to get to our show. Mike is on the line. Mike, how well do you know of NBA? Did you look at the 75th anniversary team on ESPN's ranking systems at all?
On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd say probably a 0.
Okay, well,
same.
That's good. That's good. Yeah,
and I'm drinking wine
either.
And I'm drinking wine just to give you a chance.
And he's drinking wine. But either way, you can't lose too poorly because it's just either or questions. And yesterday, Strick only scored 2, so maybe you'll have a shot there. We'll start with Strick, though, to get his points so Mike knows what total he has to get to. Strick, are you ready to go?
All right. Let's start it up.
Let's
tee it up.
Yeah, let's tee it up. Let's go in 3, 2, 1. This point guard was the first current player to show up on the list. It was at number 75. Kemba Walker or Damian Lillard?
Lillard.
That's correct. Paul Pierce came in at 62. Who did he end his career with, the Clippers or Pistons?
Clippers.
That's correct. Clyde the Glide Drexler was ranked number 53. How many championships did he win, 1 or 2?
1.
That's correct. Current Nets coach Steve Nash comes in at 37. How many MVPs did he win as a player, 1 or 2? That's correct. Dr. J is known for his time with the 76ers. What ABA team from Virginia he played for?
Freaking A.
That's me stumbling over. It seems like I got some wine too. Dr. J was number 14, by the way, but still 4 points. That's a pretty good score. And maybe I'll fumble over my lines with Mike as well. Mike, are you ready to go? You got to get 4 here.
Man. Okay, well, it's gonna be funny, but let's try.
Well, it's either or, so it can't be too bad.
Yeah. Hey, ask him real quick. Did you went to college or high school, right? You know how they gave you the bubble questions, and you just kind of, when you didn't know what the heck was going on, and you got that pop quiz, and you just said, "Okay, I think it's this one."
The answer was always C.
Yeah, C.
Yeah, there you go.
You're right. One time my teacher tricked me because there was no way that I thought it was going to go A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D. It was like a 12-question quiz, and that's how I came out, and I thought, that can't be right. So I switched it up, and it ended up being that way, and I failed the quiz. So some bad memories there. Anyways, Mike, are you ready to go?
Let's do it.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Carmelo Anthony was ranked number 69, currently plays for the Lakers. Where was he before the Lakers, Blazers or Clippers?
Blazers.
That's correct. Sam Jones was at number 60. He played for this team his entire career. Warriors or Celtics?
I didn't hear you said going to Celtics.
Yep, there you go. That's correct. This player at number 47 was recently passed by Steph Curry in the all-time three-pointers made. Reggie Miller or Ray Allen?
Ray Allen.
That's correct. This player at number 21 was the first to go high school to the pros in nearly 20 years in 1995. Allen Iverson or Kevin Garnett?
Kevin Garnett.
That's correct, too. Shaq is the first outside the top 10. Oh, man, I didn't quite get to the question, but you did tie Strick with 4 points, which means we go to the tiebreaker, and that is where Strick will give us his answer. Then you go over or under. If Strick gets it right on, unfortunately, he wins, Mike. So that's what we're going with here. Strick, Tim Duncan, Mr. Fundamental, comes in at number 8 on the list. He won 5 championships. How many finals MVPs did he win?
2.
He says 2. Would you say over or under that, Mike?
That was going to be my guess. I'm going to go over.
He's going to go over. And he is correct because it is 3. Therefore, Mike, you walk away the winner with $15 to Buffalo Wings and Rings. And finally, I can play a shout out from Stone Cold. It's been a while, but you earned it.
Great job, Mike.
All right, Mike, and despite your lack of confidence, you get the win, and now your chance to talk trash on Strick if you'd like to. Or you could take the high road. It's up to you.
No, that was fun. Thanks, guys.
Thank you,
man.
Mike.
Congratulations.
You just win $15 to Buffalo Wings and Ring. Somebody had to take you down eventually, Strick. It wasn't for a lack of effort on your part. 4 points, and I couldn't even spit the fifth question out. So pretty good opportunity there.
That's the effort we hoping that they show tomorrow night against Iowa. Let's go. Something. Scrap.
Phone game, back and forth. Come down to the end. That's all we really asked for.
Yeah, that part.
We got to take a quick break here on the block. When we come back, we'll have some questions for Strick. It's up to you guys. Let us know. Honda of Lincoln Hotline 402-464-5685. You can ask Strick anything in the world. I know Nate's got some questions he wants to bring to you. I've got some as well. If that runs out, we've got some other backup information as well. But plenty more coming up here on the 5 o'clock hour on the block. Don't go anywhere.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This is your high school minute.
With your Southeast Community College High School Minute, I'm Harrison Arns. In girls sub-district basketball, Norris blew Nebraska City out of the gym with a final score of 74-12. Sage Burback from Norris finished with 17 points as the game's leading scorer. Waverly also got a win. They beat Plattsmouth 51-17. In girls state swimming, the Omaha Marion girls took home the Class A title by the slimmest possible margin over Lincoln Southeast, a half point to be exact. This is the Omaha Marion girls' 13th state championship. In state wrestling, Lincoln East had 5 wrestlers make it to the championship matches. They finished with Gabe Turman and Keith Smith winning individual championships. Brandon Mouser, Weston Sherlock, and Cole Toline would finish with runner-ups. In the Class B division, Waverly senior Trevor Brown won his second straight heavyweight title. This has been your High School Minute, sponsored by Southeast Community College, with locations in Lincoln, Beatrice, and Milford. Learn more today at southeast.edu.
Yesterday, your water heater worked just fine. Today, surprise! When you're out of hot water, just call the plumbers at Bryant. In most cases, you can get same-day water heater replacement. What you won't get is a costly surprise with the bill. At Bryant, the price you're quoted is the price you'll pay. No last-minute extras for piping or ventilation alterations. Need a new water heater? Just call Bryant, 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. We do whatever it takes.
Rosie Sports Bar and Grill has 2 Lincoln locations that are great for any occasion. If you're downtown for a basketball game or a concert, stop by their newest spot at 10th and P. Don't forget to check out their social media pages to learn about any concerts on stage at Rosie's. If you want to avoid a busy downtown scene, head over to the original Rosie's just south of 14th and Highway 2 for a feeling of your local hometown bar. There's plenty of TVs at both places and great food and drink. What are you waiting for? Rosie Sports Bar and Grill at 10th and P and on South 14th Street.
Gray Diesel and Equipment Services is your go-to place in Lincoln for repairs and maintenance for diesel pickups to Class 8 over-the-road trucks and trailers, from bumper pole utility to full-size semi. Gray performs DOT inspections and are a service provider for fleet companies like ARI, Element Fleet, and FleetNet. They're a family-owned business in operation since 1952, and they keep a clean, friendly shop. Customer service is their top priority. Give Gray Diesel and Equipment Services a visit today, with easy access just off I-80 and North 56th Street.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC. And things have obviously been pretty challenging lately with new vehicles, with all the microchip and supply chain issues, but things continue to loosen up as Koppel gets more and more new vehicles in each and every week. We've had many customers also custom order their vehicles. So if you don't see what you want in our current inventory, we can put an order in to get exactly what you want. So go online, reserve your new vehicle at koppelcars.com. You'll be glad you did.
Eustace Body Shop, where our customers send their friends. That's the greatest compliment we can receive. If you've been in an accident, we'll get you back in your vehicle as quickly as possible. Our technicians care about you and your family and repair your vehicle to factory standards. We handle your claim from start to finish and provide a free loaner car. Stop by for a free estimate. Eustace Body Shop, just south of 88th and Highway 2.
The most recommended Eustace Body Shop. That's who we are.
Your home should not be a zoo to unwelcomed animals. Let the experts at Bats to Rats take care of those problems. Dane has been a leader in wildlife and pest management and prevention in Lincoln and the surrounding area for 15 years. and can help you get rid of bats, rodents, and anything else. Whether it's residential or commercial buildings, schools, apartments, or churches, they're always a phone call away. Call today at 402-310-0904 or visit batsrats.com. Bats Rats Wildlife Control and Prevention.
You want to feel important. You want to be a part of something bigger, something that matters and can help change things. You want to feel like you belong. We know. We felt that way too. And that's why we did something about it. We aren't just Army National Guard soldiers. We are normal people just like you. And together, we can make a difference. Take on your legacy. Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more.
Sponsored by the Nebraska Army National Guard, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association at this station.
This is On the Block with Strick and Bach. Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland.
Strickland for three! And you're going to go out of here as the Big 8 tournament champion.
93.7 The Ticket veteran and Ortega connoisseur, Jake Bakoven.
I like Ortega, and I like pepper.
Coming at you live from the Coppel Chevrolet GMC studios in the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Sponsored by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. This is On the Block with Strick and Bach. Hold up.
We are back for another edition of On the Block. And On the Block, we have a nice segment that we'd like to do once a week called Ask Strick. So get your questions in to Eric Strickland, longtime NBA vet, of course, Husker Hall of Famer. Get us those questions in. Honda of Lincoln Hotline 402-464-5685. And we can kind of dive into the mind of Strick, maybe go to his past, present, and future. Anything really is open on the table. So we'll get through that here in just a second. We did want to remind you too, Strick is actually going to be out tomorrow, but we will be out at the Mercado, and Jake Sorensen's going to be joining me out there, as well as Nate Brennan will be back from studio. So it'll be a nice little fun show we got together on the block tomorrow. I did want to promote that as well. But again, it's time for Ask Strick. So give us your questions, 402-464-5685 on the Sartor Heyman text line. Strick, our first question comes from our producer, Nate Brennan over here. He's been kind of he's getting frustrated all afternoon because of our show earlier and maybe some comments he got back there. So maybe he'll give you some questions from that, but I'll leave the floor open to Nate. Nate, what are some things you want to ask Strick here?
Yeah, definitely frustrated, Bach and Strick. I'll try and explain kind of the situation. So me and Bach were having a discussion about kind of recruits, how people look at the program, should the expectations be different? And then I mentioned Scott Frost and how he's kind of the face of Nebraska football right now. And then I said something, I don't think it was taken in context correctly, but I said, when you think of Nebraska football, it starts and ends with Scott Frost. Basically what I meant is someone in my generation, when I think of Nebraska football, especially someone that's not from Lincoln, not from the state of Nebraska, one of the first names that comes to mind is Scott Frost. So my kind of question to you is, how do you view the program, one, as someone who kind of was a player during that era when Scott Frost was playing, and then two, how do you think recruits look at the program right now?
Great question. I looked at the program as it was very systematic, meaning that you saw there was a system in place where it was a next up system. It was you come in, you put in your time, nothing was granted or nothing was promised or nothing was given to you. You either executed or that next person was going to fill your spot. And if you got 20 snaps in a game, your numbers will go down because there was another person that was just as hard as you waiting in the wings. And so you saw a very systematic system. You saw a very disciplined system. You saw a system of leadership from inside in the core. You saw a very confident, a very united front. It was all about the brand, and the brand was bleeding red. Huskers, go big red. It was all about the bones. It depended on what side you were on. So you saw that. Now it seems like there's schism. It seems like there's fractures. You can go back and watch tape of those teams, and if there was an off-tackle run, if there was a pitch, if there was an option, you could see the discipline on the players who executed and did their assignments. You didn't see a lot of broken coverages and all kinds of stuff like that. It was like the guys were very astute. They were graded very well, and if they didn't match up, then they didn't play. So it was like that. Now it doesn't seem to have that same type of structure to it, that same type of feel to it. Now I think people, when they look at the program now, you would love to be able to dawn on your history and dawn on your past. But at the same time, you've got to be able to see something inwardly, not just in the when I say inwardly, you've got to be able to see something within that locker room that shows that there's that leadership, there was that stepping stone, there's that foundation, there's that drive to make this program the best in the country. You would want to see that, and I don't know if guys, when they show up, and I can speak just on the behalf of like one of my close friends and his son Keegan. I mean, Keegan, in the same manner, is when he looked at it, he didn't see it from that standpoint. He didn't see it from how he would be able to. He saw structure, he saw family, he saw united when he looked at Iowa, and that's why he chose that. I think, So that, I guess that's the best way I could answer that question.
So then, kind of going off of that, another point that I made was, when you're selling the program to these recruits, I mean, most of these kids were born in 2003, 2004, 2005 now. I mean, they don't know Nebraska like a lot of fans do. Do you think that Nebraska, when they're recruiting these kids, should be using the national championships in the 70s, the 90s as a selling pitch? Or do you think that's so far in the past that's not going to resonate with these recruits?
I think you should use it, but you use it from a standpoint of, we've gotten away from who we were. And we see you now as a piece to that puzzle of rebuilding back the what it used to be and what it looked like. Yes, it doesn't look like it was, but we know you're an integral piece. You're an integral part to that building block. In the same manner as if you take 5 fingers, and if I slapped you with my 5 fingers, at the end of the day, there's no power. There's no strength. There's no friction in that, right? But if I unite them together, and that's where the individualities of what you're coming here for. If you're just coming here to build numbers, then maybe Nebraska is not the place for you. But if you're coming here to unite under the banner and make this place great again, then we want you here. Something of that nature. And I could be wrong. They could be selling that. That's the way that I would. So I would look to that past, not from the standpoint of selling it, but from the standpoint of, your piece to help us get back to that, and we need you.
It's interesting too, because Nate's got a nice prediction for this upcoming season. He thinks Nebraska is going to do very well, and so this question comes from me because I'm kind of torn here between. And I talked to another friend that used to do this, used to be in the business, and it kind of refreshed me when I kind of asked him about it, and he said, I expect 9 wins every year. I won't stray away from that if I'm a Husker fan, because I know it can be done, and that needs to be the minimum standard at Nebraska. I've for the last couple of years, I've been kind of straying away from that, right? I'm going, okay, yeah, but this or that, and after last year, and certainly coming into this year, going from 3-9 to 9-3, that's a big turnaround. Probably shouldn't be expected. So I'm kind of torn between being a prognosticator and giving you what, if I'm taking the bias out of it, what I really think and what I want to believe as holding the standard for Nebraska to be at somewhere around 9 wins. Do you think it's disingenuous to predict 9 wins, I suppose?
When you look at the West, why not? I mean, that's what Harbaugh. I mean, Harbaugh looks at that from that, and he popped it. He won the pop quiz. He popped it around. But he was 10-2, 9. He was always right there in that same space, right? In the West, why not?
Yeah,
tell me how that's not possible in the West.
It's possible. It just feels like maybe best case scenario or best.
No, you're absolutely right. I think that should be the bar for any coach, And so now I bet a lot of Husker fans out there, those that are listening, I bet you remember them Bo Pelini days.
Yeah.
A lot better, right?
A little
At
bit.
least you were knocking on the door. You're about to pop through. You're on the verge of breaking through in your Big 12 championships and at that time, you know, but that looks really good right now. And we haven't seen it since. So yeah, that I think is a starting point. 6-6 would be a progress. You know what I mean? Something of that nature. But that 9-win mark has got to be the bar. And that's the selling point, is which I would be like, we're not settling for anything less. And if you're not coming in here to bring that type of attitude, like I said, man, when those old teams, when it was like a unite, it was like the linemen all moved succinctly. It was like the fullback. They all knew what their assignments were. The wing backs were blocking 20 yards downfield. It was like everybody, if it wasn't coming your way, they were still running hard patterns. There was nothing that wasn't hard. The defense, it was like if they ran off tackle, a sweep, an option, if they had a drag coming across the middle, there was a linebacker hitting him, and there was like multiple. It was always just an influx of people always moving towards the ball.
Yeah.
And that's what I used to see, but I don't see that. I don't see that now. A lot of break, and you can see it if your special teams is not giving you that, which we can go back and track it. At the best, Nebraska in their best year, they only punted 5 times, and then they only gave up 12 yards in special teams. That's because everybody took pride in whatever their assignment was, right?
Yeah.
And so, like right now, people in their minds saying, well, if I ain't on the field, but see, that comes with this new generation, that Instagram generation. I'm a 4-star, I'm a 5-star, I'm better than running up and down the field. No, this is part of being able to test what type of character you really have. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what your job or your assignment is. And I think that, some of the generations of the day just have lost track of that. You know what I mean? It would be no different than you're somebody on the bench and the game is a little bit out of whack, and you come in with 3 minutes left in the game. That's 3 minutes for me to get something done. Dive on the floor, get a steal, do something, make a play, drop a dime. Use those 3 minutes. Make it the best 3 minutes that you have, right? But now some people just stroll in there now. It's like, why they put me in now? Why, that's kind of the mentalities of the day, and that's unfortunate. So because every opportunity is an opportunity. If they see you busting it down there, that can change the mindset of a coach. And that's how I got in the league. There was, I was sick as a dog in my pre-draft camp. I was sick. I was throwing up blood. I played terrible. I mean, in all aspects, the way I look at my game, I played horrible. But there was one scout sitting up there from the Dallas Mavericks, Ron Aker. God rest his soul. I haven't talked to him in a long time, but we did used to stay in touch, and he was very old, so I think he may have passed. But nonetheless, Ron Aker saw me up there, but what he saw is no matter how bad I played, I still was hustling. I still was scrapping. I still was diving. And that's what got me a call. And that's the difference. That's the difference.
Yeah, we'd love to see that, hustle and tenacity out of the football team and the basketball team. And like you said, whether it's special teams or the burner minutes, obviously there at the end, that can certainly get the eye of the coach or, the fans or some sort of support.
It's all about attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of strange, kind of thinking about those days. I still kind of go back to that 9-win discussion and kind of thinking, we put it on hold for a year, and every year you could do that coming off whatever previous season. If you're 5-7, okay, well, you might not win 9 this year, but we've had to put it off every year. And that's what I thought was dangerous about kind of putting this, bringing Scott Frost back, was like, man, how can we have another year of hoping to go 6-6? So I think at some point, you kind of have to elevate those and get back to, the longer you stay in mediocrity, the longer the tougher it's gonna get to get out of it.
It festers. It festers. mediocrity festers. And again, some of you that are listeners, some of you may be new as listeners. That was what I saw with the Mavericks early on. You've got Jason Kidd, Jamal Mashburn, you've got Jimmy Jackson, the original big three. And then you still got some talent around them, right? Then you get some young draft picks and they come in. You got your Lauren Meyer that came from Iowa State. You know, I think you had UMKC, Tony Dumas, who we played against at Nebraska. Then they come in and you got these young, new, vibrant players with a core group of old players. And it was so mediocrity. It was like individuals playing for themselves. I got to get mine tonight. Jason had 30 last night. Okay, it's my turn. And then all of a sudden, you're not playing together as a unified group. And then afterwards, it was like it didn't matter. And for me, that irked me when I used to see that. And I was like, man. And so for me, the hardest thing that hurt me the most was getting traded in the midst of the turnaround. I knew that next year we were going to be winners because I saw it. I saw the way we finished the year from what we started, and I saw that we were going to be winners, and they won 50 games that next year.
Strick, this was something that me and Rico brought up the other day, and I'm curious to see what you think when it comes to the basketball program. So obviously Hoiberg looks like it might not be working out, but sometimes these teams take shots in the dark and get a coach that used to be very prestigious and now has fallen off a little bit, maybe had some violations, things like that. And the name Rick Pitino was brought up. If a coach like Rick Pitino were to leave his current situation, which I believe he's with Iona, and he became available and Hoiberg's pushed out, would you take a risk on a coach like that?
I don't see why not. I mean, if you got to pay $18 million, that's you know, that's a different discussion because I mean, at some point you're probably, if he's had success, you're gonna have to touch him up a little bit, or you got to get prepared to touch him up. If he comes in, he turns it around in a couple of years, you got to get prepared to touch him up. So one way or another, you're gonna have to have something in the coffers. Maybe that new $1 billion Big Ten deal would be something that can help in that manner. But and if that's the case, then you can look at something like that. I think you can look that way, or you can look at a young coach that's inspiring, that's getting the most out of what he's been given. You know, he's been given a bag of dirt and he turns dirt to gold. You know what I mean? He's down in North Texas or he's down somewhere and he's getting these young players to buy in and they're working through it. Because then that type of person can come in and change the whole culture and bring out something in kids and young men that they haven't, you know, been used to, and can change their whole perspective. Those are the two ways that you can go.
Yeah, I got some questions off the text line too. Brev says, favorite NBA player you played against?
A favorite?
Favorite's kind of a weird way to put it, but yeah, I suppose.
I'll tell you why I like this particular player, and that was Gary Payton. Is because that was a mirroring of what I felt I was. He was taller than me, but I was a post-up guy. I was just a player. I was a hawk defender. I was going to give you problems. And so I loved playing against him. So that was a favorite matchup. So a quick story on Gary Payton. My rookie year, I had like 28 points. I was working on 30 against Gary. And I think so I was working him out a little bit. I wasn't really talking because I know Gary bumps his gums. He'll talk crazy to you. So there was one instance he posted me up, and I know Gary. I studied him, so I knew kind of what he liked to do. He would like to work me to the middle and spin with that left hand, and I was on it. And I swiped at it because I knew it was coming, and I hit it. He lost the ball. He retained it, and he just happened to throw it up, and he made it. And I was like, yeah, good shot. He was like, yeah, I know it was a good shot. Now, there was some cursing in that. Yeah, I know it was a good shot, you know. And I said, well, that's why I'm killing you tonight. I'm giving you 30. And he said, shut up, rookie. He said, my wife makes more than you.
He's prepared to talk.
He was prepared to come back at me. He was like, yeah, I said, well, you're probably right, Gary. Your wife probably is making more than me right now.
Did Gary have a celebrity wife? I guess I didn't follow that down the line.
No, her name was Monique Payton. They'd been together like back in college, so they grew up. Actually, she's out in Vegas. I know her. She's good people. She knows my family too. So
Yeah.
no, they're not together anymore. But no, I wouldn't say she's a celebrity, but in her own right, she is. You know what I mean? She's they've been together and they spent together. They spent a lot of their life together. Raised some good sons that came through, and one of them now is doing his thing.
Oh yeah, I see that. I wonder because if Tom Brady tells you his wife's making more than you, go, well, yeah, she's making more than all of us combined. What do you want me to do?
Right, individually herself without Tom Brady.
Yeah. Mike from the game show's back. He says he apparently he took the high road when he won, but now he says, Strick, was your ego bruised losing to a guy with zero confidence in a game with all NBA questions today? He's back.
Not at all, man. Kudos to you. Even on your best day, somebody like a non-factor in the game can beat you if you
Right.
take them lightly, right? Just imagine like the tennis players, some of the greats. If you go in there and you take them lightly, you might get your head split. Even a Serena Williams, you go in there and take somebody lightly, you might get your head split. In any night, somebody can bust you open if you take them lightly. So I took you lightly because I was sipping on wine.
There you go. So yeah, complete without it, that you'd have been just fine. I did want to ask you this: Danny Kanell, of course, he works for
Quarterback,
CBS Sports. Yeah, used to work for ESPN. He's never tried ramen noodles, which makes me think that at some point I don't know if I can connect with him more. It's one of those things you find out and you just go, he's like an alien. Is there anything very strange that you haven't tried as of yet?
He's probably come up from that good money.
Yeah, he never had
because
never had
us
calls
kids
from
that
him.
didn't have it like that was definitely eating. You going to your college dorm and you had that little shelf, and that shelf was stacked with every kind of ramen noodle in that.
Oh yeah,
joint.
yeah, all different flavors. So
All
you
flavors.
could have different things to offer there.
Absolutely. I would venture to say I was pretty blessed. I don't think there's not anything that I'm not a crazy. I'll try a lot of stuff, but I'm not a crazy dude. Like I'm not gonna eat tarantulas and I'm not gonna do like they do over in the Far East over in Malaysia and eat some live squid or some stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's got to be cooked up. It's got to be fried and tried for me. I'm not. Oh, I will say caviar.
You haven't tried it, or you have?
No, sir.
No, you won't.
No, sir. I don't think I can do it. I don't think I can do it. I might lose it. You watch Fear Factor, right? You've seen Fear Factor? Yeah. Yeah. That would caviar to me would be like Fear Factor. Yeah, they would be one of them things. It would have to be chugged down with some tequila or something strong and kill it.
You're not
'cause I don't
enjoying
think I
it.
can do it. No.
Brev asked you your favorite teacher in school. Maybe Brev used to be your teacher or something. I'm not sure.
There was a teacher, but there was Mr. Willett. He was at Bellevue West. He was you know what? Let me. It's between Willett and my guy. Everybody probably knows him because he's been on radio before. He's a super golfer. I beat his head in every time, and I know he'll probably text me if he hears this. But Dave Schillinglaw, my marketing teacher. He was like one of my favorite. He was actually the one. If it wasn't for Dave Schillinglaw, I'm not playing baseball because it wasn't even in my purview. It wasn't even a thought. But he sat me down and he said, "Strick, you're a tremendous athlete." He's like, "I think if you play baseball," he's like, "I think you'll get drafted." And I was like, "Stop it." Ended up hitting like 483. I hit like 483, and here's the crazy thing: I hit 483 that year. I go my rookie season down to Florida, and that is the worst. Like you think rookie ball is cool, right? Because you kind of show up, you've got the big training facilities, the real spring training, you're there.
Yeah.
But your workouts, I mean, you get up at 7 a.m, you go eat your breakfast, you go in, you do early work, whatever that is, fielding, running bases, hitting, whatever it is, and you go in and change, and it's hot like fire at 10 o'clock in the morning in the summer. So then you're sweating, you go shower, you get ready for the game. You play almost all of your games at 12 noon. They put you in a nice little apartment complex, so it makes it look like it's grandioso and glue, all good. But no, sir. Yeah. Now, I found out that I had astigmatism, that I couldn't see at night very good. And so I was able to hit the ball the way that I was hitting the ball, even with astigmatism. And I ended up getting LASIK, and that's what helped. So I was shooting the ball with not really being able to see clearly. So go figure. That worked.
Good thing they didn't dim the lights there at Optimania.
Right.
I can't say this name, but somebody's asking, who dunked on you the hardest in your career? Who's one that you just go, gosh, he got me?
I got by Steve Francis.
Oh, franchise, yeah.
So he came down the middle of the paint. I came off of my defender, and I tried to get my feet outside the restricted zone, but he had already rose. And it was too late. Stricky got bodied. I got bodied.
Yeah. It can happen. It happens. Franchise did that to a lot of people. So at least you don't have to feel too bad that way. Maybe we'll continue this conversation, but we are up against it, so we got to take a break. When we come back, again, keep sending in your questions, 402-464-5685. We'll ask Strick a few more questions and might even dive into some other conversations around the world of sports, including the MLB threatening to shorten their season if the deadline is not met by the players' side. I don't know if I believe it. The MLB is always having these arguments, but apparently they're getting pretty serious. So we'll dive into that next year on the Block on 93.7 The Ticket.
Now what do? Football is over. The weather's crappy. Man, I tell you what, it's a perfect time to go car shopping. This is Carl from Price Right Auto. Come out to Price Right in West Elk and you'll find over 100 great vehicles at some great prices. With our non-commissioned sales process, we let you control the sale. We won't let you get a lemon since we back every one of our vehicles with our peace of mind 3-month warranty. If you want a hassle-free car buying experience, check out our website, PriceRightAuto.com. Come see a great selection of affordable used cars on West Elk Street at Price Right Auto.
There's no better way to spark a child's imagination than to get lost in the adventure of a good book. I'm Jenny Benson, president of NSEA. Working together, parents and teachers can help every child succeed. You can help by reading to your child and let your child read to you. Encourage reading in your home and make it a priority. Make reading fun and a time that you and your child look forward to spending together.
Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association on this station.
Your home should not be a zoo to unwelcomed animals. Let the experts at Bats to Rats take care of those problems. Dane has been a leader in wildlife and pest management and prevention in Lincoln and the surrounding area for 15 years. He can help you get rid of bats, rodents, and anything else. Whether it's residential or commercial buildings, schools, apartments, or churches, they're always a phone call away. Call today at 402-310-0904 or visit batsterats.com. Bats to Rats Wildlife Control and Prevention.
Fruitcakes are just for Christmas, right? Gosh, I feel sorry for you. I mean, what if we had done that with bacon? Bacon is only for breakfast. We'd never have bacon cheeseburgers. We'd never be able to save a salad by adding bacon bits. We'd never have Brinner. That's breakfast for dinner. Don't limit yourself. Fruitcakes for St. Patrick's Day. Fruitcakes for graduation. Fruitcakes for Thursday. Beatrice Bakery and Grandma's Fruitcakes are perfect for every occasion. Check them out in downtown Beatrice or online at beatricebakery.com. Welcome to our world of yum.
You spend more time in your garage than outdoors in the wintertime. Isn't it time to get it organized? Call Travis at Classic Garage Solutions for his variety of organization packages. Turn your garage from a cluttered mess to a clean, organized space that'll be the envy of the neighborhood and something you can be proud of. You don't need to bring the same clutter from last year into the new year. Travis has storage options for cabinets, monkey bar shelving, or slat wall, and more. Call Classic Garage Solutions today at 402-730-1638.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Your first alert weather forecast tonight, clearing and cold. Overnight lows 0. Sunshine warming up a bit on Friday and highs right around 30. I'm MTV Chief Forecaster Ken Boughton for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Eustace Body Shop, where our customers send their friends. That's the greatest compliment we can receive. If you've been in an accident, we'll get you back in your vehicle as quickly as possible. Our technicians care about you and your family and repair your vehicle to factory standards. We handle your claim from start to finish and provide a free loaner car. Stop by for a free estimate. Eustace Body Shop, just south of 88th and Highway 2.
The most recommended Eustace Body Shop. That's who we are.
You hear that? That's the sound of extremely tender and delicious beef from certified Piedmontese. Prime grade tenderness with a fraction of the fat and calories of normal beef. It's Nebraska-raised product and the official beef of Nebraska Athletics. Change the way you buy beef today at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese, just north of 84th and Havelock, or at cpmercado.com.
You want to feel important. You want to be a part of something bigger, something that matters and can help change things. You want to feel like you belong. We know. We felt that way too. And that's why we did something about it. We aren't just Army National Guard soldiers. We are normal people just like you. And together, we can make a difference. Take on your legacy. Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more.
Sponsored by the Nebraska Army National Guard. Aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association at this station.
Back to On the Block with Strick and Bach on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We are back here on the block, and if you want to continue to ask Strick questions, we'll continue to let you do it, and when he'll answer your questions. On of Lincoln Hotline, 402-464-5685, or Starter Hammond text line, same number, 402-464-5685. If you have questions for Strick, we also got some topics we want to get to here in a second as well. But Claytonia John wants to know, hey, Strick, Tupac or Biggie, East Coast or West Coast rap?
you.
Somebody's got to get
both.
Yeah, there you go. That's
no, I do. I really do like both of them. I think they both bring something uniquely different in their style. But I actually like both. I can't pick between either one of them because they're both pretty good to me.
Yeah, who knew? Is that an answer that can happen? You can just like both of them. That makes sense, I guess, too. I think
two and one, baby.
Yeah, more people than they think are probably in that conversation if they go ahead and let it happen. A couple other things that I wanted to get to, and I think we might have a call here, so we'll see if we can take that here in a second. But Major League Baseball, it's kind of weird. They seem to have disagreement very often, but the labor talks are extended now from Friday as the Monday deadline approaches. So they're going to continue to have these conversations between the owners and the players union. They're trying to kind of come together on their disagreements, which may be this or that. And I don't necessarily want to get into all of that. But what I do want to ask you is if you believe that Major League Baseball will hold firm. They told the union that it will cancel regular season game if a contract is not agreed to by the end of Monday. And so that's kind of interesting. It's not a deadline that necessarily needs to happen for any reason other than that's the deadline that they set out there. But they're saying a deadline is a deadline. So if we don't make it, that's when we're going to start canceling games. We talked about the other day, maybe the NBA taking away some games because it might help their players, this or that. But you take away some of those games, Major League Baseball, and you're losing money. So do you believe them when they say that that's what they're threatening to do?
I mean, those are leverage tactics. Obviously, we had the same thing when we had our lockout season, I think in 1999. So yeah, I think it's a leverage thing. It's still enough time before they can get it done. You could have they have what they call short season. They have short season spring training, and they can tap in and just get into that where that's a possibility. But yeah, I don't think they want to miss games. I mean, every league has in some way started losing fans for whatever reason during the COVID situation. For whatever those reasons were, there was some loss of fans. The only ones that really had some retention is the UFC. UFC stayed pretty strong. Football gained back some. This year helped them tremendously. And then NASCAR, but they're still very old as far they don't have their 19 to 25 demographics are very good. So they're not gaining new fans, but they're still pretty strong as far as their fan base is, but it's a very old fan base. And then what else? UFC, baseball, moderate, not small losses, but some. So yeah, those are the ones that I think had maintained, but you don't want to do that. I don't think you want to get into that, especially with contracts, as you said, TV deals. You start having to lose money, and owners don't like that when them stadiums are empty. So yeah.
And for what it's worth, I mean, the threat comes down as far as the players obviously wouldn't collect game checks either. So that's where the kind of the threat happens. Players and teams remain far apart on luxury tax thresholds, salary arbitration.
Far apart. That's not a good sign. Far apart. That's not good. But go ahead.
Yeah, revenue sharing is another one. The size of the pool of money that would go to pre-arbitration players. So, just all sorts of things that they still have to come together on, and they're working on it. Commissioner Rob Manfred, for what it's worth, said that a minimum of 4 weeks of training are needed before the start of the season.
Right.
So the deal needs to be done pretty quickly here so we can kind of turn the page and get going there. So you wonder if it will ultimately impact some of these games. We are going to
that'll make very good then for football, like USFL type stuff.
Yeah,
That might open up the door and the floodgates for them. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
I said it before too. I mean, but I'll say it again. We can complain about summer being kind of the lull of the sports period, but man, if baseball's not there, my God, it's gonna be tough. Let's go to Brian on the Honda of Lincoln hotline. Brian, what are you thinking today?
Hey, how are you guys doing?
Oh, not too bad. How are you?
Hey, not too bad. My question is, how important was the Unity Council for the players back in the day? Because when Scott Frost came back to Nebraska, he said he was going to reinstitute the Unity Council for the players, but he said he wasn't going to do it in his first year. But then I haven't heard him talk about it since that first press conference about the Unity Council.
I mean, I think that's an important piece. I think some form of players having a place to vent, to share grievances, to talk out specific issues, to express something that they may be dealing with, whether it be internally or with coaches. You can have multiple councils, right? The Unity Council could possibly be your broad base that's collective, and then you can have just internal, the rooms for like the quarterbacks and the running backs, and each of them can have some form of representatives and to be able to share things that they may be seeing or feeling or hearing or dealing with or need to express. And then they give it to that representative that brings it to the council and discuss some of those things. I think that's something that's important. Here's why. Because what can end up happening is when things start to matriculate through those rooms, cancers start to build, and then it begins to break down the fabric of unity, or you start looking at another system or another room in a different type of way, and so forth. And so, if the linemen have a grievance with the running back group, then they may not be given they full law out for opening up that hole, so those type of things can be important. So I think that's a great point. I think they should have it.
Yeah, and another question off the text line, another one, the kind of like the Tupac or Biggie one that is hard to answer. Who's better in your mind, Strick, Michael Jordan or LeBron James?
Is that a question?
That's the question off the text line.
That's not even a question for me. I mean, the answer is very obvious. It's Michael Jordan. I mean, just LeBron is a tremendous all-around player, but if you really break it down and you really, really break it down and just even look at just the whole totality of the body of work, if I personally think if Michael had the same amount of years in his early years to do as LeBron had done, it wouldn't even be a question. But for me, the defense, when he was on the top level of going after the big trophy, he's undefeated. Like most people, they say when Michael got it right, there's nobody could sniff it. All of the Hall of Famers that he eliminated from getting a championship, that part is in itself. You can go down another list and look at just, yes, you have help, but he didn't have the type of all-star and top 75 help that LeBron had. I mean, you've got Dwayne Wade, Shaq, you can go down Chris Bosh, you just keep running down to Kyrie Irving, you just keep running down the freaking list. There's probably about like 10 of them. Michael probably had 5 total.
Yeah, it's interesting though. Did you happen to guard LeBron at all ever?
Slightly, not really.
Not really.
Yeah, I didn't really have to guard LeBron, but like D Wade, I did. But not LeBron. He was in Cleveland. I think I was in Boston, so that was Paul. Paul probably had him.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting because I know you had to guard Jordan at one point in time. So that's
no,
kind of the toughest assignment ever been on Earth. So that's interesting. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, it is time for Hitting the Hardwood, and we talked about the other day some Duke on Duke crime with JJ Redick criticizing Zion Williams. Now we're going to do some Wildcat on Wildcat crime. Richard Jefferson and Gilbert Arenas have a little bit of a beef going on. We'll play that part for you, and we'll have Strick react to it. That's coming up next year on 93.7 The Ticket.
There's not many things worse than having plumbing issues at your home or business, but it's even worse if the problem isn't fixed correctly. Select Plumbing gets it right the first time, and they specialize in several things: general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate at 402-560-6197. Plus, they're hiring service plumbers. Contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197.
Happy Hour with Nick Sainert and Enrique Alvarez Clary.
You just kind of feel a little more settled with a guy like Trev Alberts leading the way. I think that's a big part of it.
Trev Alberts is like a mix of the two. He knows the business side of it. He knows what needs to get done, how to make money, how to spend money, etc. Whatever you got to do there as an athletic director. Then on the personal level, he wants to get to know the coaches.
I think a good description for Trev is that he understands how important relationships are.
Weekdays from 2 to 3 on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Your home should not be a zoo to unwelcomed animals. Let the experts at Bats to Rats take care of those problems. Dane has been a leader in wildlife and pest management and prevention in Lincoln and the surrounding area for 15 years. He can help you get rid of bats, rodents, and anything else. Whether it's residential or commercial buildings, schools, apartments, or churches, they're always a phone call away. Call today at 402-310-0904 or visit batsterats.com. Bats to Rats Wildlife Control and Prevention.
Casey's General Store is giving you the chance at winning 2 free tickets to a Nebraska home basketball game this season. Stop by any Casey's location in Lincoln throughout basketball season, enter your name into the registration box, and you'll have a chance to win 2 tickets to an upcoming Nebraska basketball game. Every drawing will occur at least 24 hours before the game that has its selected winner. So make sure to get to any Casey's in Lincoln today for your chance at 2 free tickets for Nebraska men's basketball games.
Rosie Sports Bar and Grill has 2 Lincoln locations that are great for any occasion. If you're downtown for a basketball game or a concert, stop by their newest spot at 10th and P. Don't forget to check out their social media pages to learn about any concerts on stage at Rosie's. If you want to avoid a busy downtown scene, head over to the original Rosie's just south of 14th and Highway 2 for a feeling of your local hometown bar. There's plenty of TVs at both places and great food and drink. What are you waiting for? Rosie Sports Bar and Grill at 10th and P and on South 14th Street.
You want to feel important. You want to be a part of something bigger, something that matters and can help change things. You want to feel like you belong. We know. We felt that way too. And that's why we did something about it. We aren't just Army National Guard soldiers. We are normal people just like you. And together, we can make a difference. Take on your legacy. Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more.
Sponsored by the Nebraska Army National Guard. Aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association at this station.
Did you know that the U.S. has added over 1,100 new breweries in the last 18 months? Learn more by shopping at Myers Cork and Bottle, 13th and South, and by tuning into Thirsty Thursdays with Kevin Myers, because sports are better with a drink in your hand and a friend at your side.
You hear that? That's the sound of extremely tender and delicious beef from Certified Piedmontese. Prime grade tenderness with a fraction of the fat and calories of normal beef. It's Nebraska-raised product and the official beef of Nebraska Athletics. Change the way you buy beef today at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese, just north of 84th and Havelock, or at cpmercado.com.
Eustace Body Shop, where our customers send their friends. That's the greatest compliment we can receive. If you've been in an accident, we'll get you back in your vehicle as quickly as possible. Our technicians care about you and your family and repair your vehicle to factory standards. We handle your claim from start to finish and provide a free loaner car. Stop by for a free estimate. Eustace Body Shop, just south of 88th and Highway 2.
The most recommended Eustace Body Shop. That's who we are.
Back to On the Block with Strick and Bach on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Running things out here on the block on 93.7 The Ticket. It's time for Hitting the Hardwood, where we talk some NBA action. And our action today is not so much on the court as the teams get back from All-Star break, but it's more has to do with some former NBA players throwing some shade at each other. Former Wildcats, too. Former Arizona Wildcats. They went on a special run. That team was fun. If you remember Richard Jefferson and Gilbert Arenas and Luke Walton, I mean, they were a loaded team, but that is kind of where this is coming from. Gilbert Arenas, he had his time where he got in some trouble here and there in the league, and so it's kind of funny how this turned out. Richard Jefferson is now one of the talking heads for the NBA over there at ESPN, so it's kind of interesting. But he went to TikTok to combat something that Arenas said. So we'll start with this. You'll hear the first part is Gilbert Arenas talking about himself and Richard Jefferson, and then the second part is the reaction from Richard Jefferson. We'll get Strick's take on it here after we hear it here, right here. This is, once again, Gilbert Arenas at first, and then Richard Jefferson with his rebuttal.
I was like, you know they picked Richard Jefferson, right? I was like, yeah, they just picked him. I was like, how did they pick Richard Jefferson? I'm the number one scorer on our team. I'm the best player on our team. Yeah. He is option 3, 4.
Yeah. Today, we're going to address that clip by Gilbert Arenas. Let's talk about what Gilbert went from first round to second round. It wasn't because of his talent, because that man is a bad man, and I will get on any app and talk about how bad of a man he was. But Gilbert was an immature. That's just who he was. We all are little heads. Like, I get it. But what Gilbert did was a little bit more special. So, first, every athlete knows about stress tests. You got to do it, make sure your ticker's working. And so at the pre-draft in Chicago, you're probably supposed to be on it for like 5 to 8 minutes so your heart rate gets up high enough. So Gilbert decides to do it in Chuck Taylors. Now, everyone has to do it. Gilbert gets up there, 30 seconds in, he's like, this is messing up my Chuck Taylors. I'm not doing it. And these guys that are running the performance thing are like, what are you talking about? He's like, you got to do this. And you're like, nah, I'm not going to do it. So again, red flag. Now, he already had a couple of red flags because Gilbert had some good situations with guns in college, but I digress. This is what he was doing. So they look at him and just be like, okay, whatever. They're reporting to all 30 NBA teams. Now, fast forward the next day. You want to know how Gilbert followed that beautiful moment up? So there's a big symposium. Every pre-draft player's there. Teams are there. There's, people kind of talking to us about what do you want to accomplish in this league and the opportunities. And, the microphone gets to Gilbert after talking to a couple different players. And Gilbert, they're like, hey, what do you want to do? He's like, I want to be a pimp. Now, all of us giggle and laugh because we're 19 years old. This guy doesn't know who Gilbert is and how crazy he is. So he's like, excuse me, sir, what did you say? Gilbert doubles down. He's like, I want to be an international pimp. This man lit into Gilbert in a way I still have not seen. If you think objectifying women, if you're talking about using this league to blah, 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 just goes off, as he should, because that's inappropriate. No big deal. Sorry, ladies. He's an idiot. So that happened. So all of these things are the reason why Gilbert just kept dropping, because he's an idiot. So the fact that his brain still doesn't process why he dropped down, just let you know who Gilbert is. And I love my guy, but he's a little bit special. So before he started talking about, these guys got drafted, Gilbert, how many points did you score in the national championship game? And for extra credit, do you want to tell everybody what you were doing the night before the national championship game, the biggest game of our lives? And looking back, it was the biggest game you ever played in. You want to tell anybody? No? Okay. We'll just keep talking about how I was the fourth option. And look, I was the fourth option.
Here, Richard Jefferson going off on not liking what he heard from Gilbert Arenas talking about how Richard Jefferson got drafted over him. I think that's funny just to hear those stories, especially Gilbert Arenas maybe not taking the pre-draft stuff quite as seriously as he probably needed to. And he was a special, talented player, and he showed that in his NBA career eventually. But it's kind of understandable maybe why he dropped a little bit there. What do you think about the Wildcat on Wildcat crime you hear right there?
Bang, bang. I mean, yeah, no, but that's obviously, something to think about because of the fact that you can see that culminated when he was with the Wizards, right? In the Jarvis Crittenton situation. So I can only look and weigh the scales. Yes, you're right. You were that guy. But at the end of the day, I can also give credence to what Jefferson's saying because I seen what happened in DC. That was idiotic, so when you say that, I'm not saying you're an idiot. I'm just saying that's idiotic.
That was a bad move.
Well, that's a bad look. So I can see that there's probably credence to what Jefferson's saying based on that. And that is something to cause people to get off of you really quick. No question.
It's just kind of funny to hear, and sometimes
they take that stuff seriously. Here's another piece of it, real quick. They when you get to those pre-draft camps, you get a certain amount of time to be able to kind of move around in different areas, right? And you can do different things. People are placed in specific. They're listening to what you're talking about, and so it's like straight mole action, some straight espionage, KGB type stuff where there's people planted to be around in these circles to allow you to, the space to do your different things. They'll maybe put you in these little environments, so forth and so on. And they want to know what your character is in those types of environments and if you're able to handle them. So that could be another thing that was happening that probably caused them to drop.
Yeah, you kind of think sometimes, and Randy Gregory obviously kind of had the same type of thing.
Similar type of thing.
And, yeah, just didn't do well with the pre-draft stuff, and you just kind of think, man, these guys, they've got to know that this is the biggest moment in potential. I mean, this is exactly what's going to affect your draft status. But sometimes I guess younger guys, they don't understand the seriousness of it when they're in the moment. So I thought that was kind of funny. I've always been kind of a big Richard Jefferson fan. I like Gilbert Arenas too. Agent Zero, his cousin actually, Armando Murillo, played at Nebraska at cornerback for a few years. Other people remember his other cousin Javier Arenas, who played for Alabama a little bit as well, and I think he's on the coaching staff there now. So it's kind of interesting to just kind of reminisce and go back on those times. But now I understand a little bit more why Gilbert Arenas dropped a little bit. He had to protect his Chuck Taylors. I mean, Chuck come first, right?
Go figure.
Yeah, those Chuck Taylors might end up costing him more money than he knew. But anyway, he did well probably on the second or third contract, I'm sure. But anyway, we got to get out of here. It's up for On the Block is done. We will be back tomorrow at the Mercado. Also, Strick will be back tomorrow for the Husker postgame show, but he will not be there at the Mercado. But anyway, Ticket Weeknights is coming up next. We'll see you guys later.
Rosie Sports Bar and Grill has 2 Lincoln locations.